Today we're delving deep into a topic of great importance: why Latin America continues to struggle with poverty, unveiling the root causes. Latin America is a region of immense beauty, diverse cultures, and rich history, yet it's plagued by persistent poverty. In this video, we'll explore the historical, economic, social, and political factors that contribute to this ongoing issue. So let's dive in. Seven, historical context and colonial legacy. To understand the poverty situation in Latin America, we must look back at its history. The region was colonized by European powers, which led to the exploitation of indigenous populations and their resources. The scars of colonization still impact the region today. Land ownership disparities, cultural imbalances, and unequal distribution of resources were all rooted in this era. Indigenous communities were often forcibly displaced from their lands, leading to the dispossession of their resources and traditional ways of life. This historical loss of land ownership continues to impact present-day issues of poverty and inequality. Indigenous languages, customs, and knowledge were often suppressed or replaced by European practices. This cultural suppression contributed to a loss of cultural identity and weakened traditional social structures. The historical context and colonial legacy have left an indelible mark on Latin America, shaping its economic, social, and cultural fabric. Acknowledging this legacy, understanding its implications, and implementing policies that promote justice, inclusivity, and cultural preservation are essential steps in addressing the root causes of poverty in the region. By rectifying historical injustices and promoting a more equitable society, Latin America can work towards a future where the impacts of its colonial past are no longer barriers to progress. 6. Economic factors. Economic challenges are at the forefront of Latin America's struggle with poverty. The region's economies are often characterized by volatility, inequality, and a heavy reliance on certain industries. These economic dynamics have significant implications for poverty rates and the overall well-being of the population. Dependency on primary commodities. One major issue is the region's heavy reliance on exporting primary commodities such as oil, minerals, and agricultural products. This creates vulnerability to fluctuations in global commodity prices, leading to economic instability. Income inequality. Income inequality in Latin America is among the highest in the world. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen due to limited access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for marginalized communities. Income inequality is a pervasive issue in Latin America, contributing to the persistence of poverty. The concentration of wealth in the hands of a few exacerbates social disparities and limits opportunities for upward mobility. 5. Social factors. Social factors play a critical role in shaping the extent and persistence of poverty within Latin America. These factors encompass aspects of education, healthcare, gender dynamics, and social services that directly impact the well-being and opportunities of individuals and communities. Lack of access to quality education. Education is often considered a pathway out of poverty, yet many in Latin America lack access to quality education. This perpetuates cycles of poverty, as individuals struggle to secure better job opportunities. Health disparities. Health inequalities are a significant concern across Latin America, affecting both individual well-being and broader development efforts. Limited healthcare access. Many impoverished communities lack access to essential healthcare services, including preventive care, vaccinations, and treatment for common illnesses. This can lead to higher mortality rates and hinder human capital development. Maternal and child health. Inadequate healthcare can lead to high maternal and infant mortality rates. Lack of access to prenatal care, safe birthing facilities, and postnatal care contributes to preventable health complications. 4. Political factors. Political dynamics in Latin America have a profound impact on poverty and development. In many cases, issues related to governance, corruption, and political instability intersect to hinder effective poverty reduction efforts and perpetuate inequality. Corruption and governance. Corruption and ineffective governance have plagued Latin American countries for decades. Mismanagement of funds and lack of transparency hinder development efforts, redirecting resources away from poverty reduction initiatives. Political instability. Frequent political instability and changes in government can disrupt development efforts and create an environment of uncertainty. Policy inconsistency. Political instability can result in inconsistent policies and strategies for poverty reduction. Long-term poverty alleviation plans often suffer due to short-term political goals. Investor confidence. Political instability can deter foreign investment, making it challenging for countries to develop a stable economic base. This can limit job creation and economic growth, perpetuating poverty. Ineffective institutions. Weak institutions, characterized by a lack of capacity, transparency, and accountability, hinder effective governance and the implementation of poverty reduction programs. Inefficient implementation. Weak institutions may struggle to effectively implement poverty reduction initiatives, leading to inefficient use of resources and limited impact on poverty rates. Lack of accountability. Without robust mechanisms for accountability, leaders and officials may not be held responsible for their actions of the allocation of public funds. This lack of accountability can perpetuate corruption and ineffective governance. Political factors in Latin America significantly impact poverty and development outcomes. By addressing issues of corruption, promoting political stability, and strengthening institutions, the region can create an environment conducive to effective poverty reduction initiatives. Good governance is fundamental to creating a just and equitable society, where resources are allocated efficiently and development benefits all members of the population. 3. Environmental challenges. Latin America's rich biodiversity, diverse ecosystems, and valuable natural resources are central to its identity. However, environmental challenges, including natural disasters and climate change, have significant implications for poverty and development in the region. Natural disasters and climate change. Latin America is vulnerable to natural disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, and flooding. These events disproportionately impact low-income communities, further pushing them into poverty. Additionally, the effects of climate change threaten agriculture and livelihoods. Natural disasters often lead to displacement of communities, loss of housing, and destruction of livelihoods. The poor are disproportionately affected due to their vulnerability and lack of resources to cope with such emergencies. Urbanization and informal economy. Rapid urbanization. Rapid urbanization has led to overcrowded cities and informal settlements. Limited access to basic services and lack of proper infrastructure in these areas perpetuate poverty and social inequality. Informal economy. A significant portion of Latin America's workforce operates in the informal economy without job security or benefits. This lack of formal employment opportunities prevents individuals from breaking free from poverty. Environmental challenges transcend national boundaries. Collaborative efforts between Latin American countries and the international community are crucial for sharing knowledge, resources, and technologies to address these challenges. 2. Cultural and identity complexities. Indigenous and Afro-Latinx discrimination. Latin America is home to a substantial indigenous population, as well as Afro-Latinx communities descended from African slaves. Despite their contributions to the region's culture and history, these groups often face discrimination and marginalization. Historical legacies of colonialism have led to land disposition, cultural suppression, and unequal access to resources. Limited access to education and healthcare. Indigenous and Afro-Latinx populations often have limited access to quality education and healthcare. This perpetuates cycles of poverty, as these communities struggle to access opportunities that could uplift them economically. Cultural stigma. In some Latin American societies, poverty carries a heavy social stigma. This stigma is not only perpetuated by outsiders, but can also be deeply ingrained within communities. This cultural perception of poverty can have profound psychological and social impacts. Psychological barriers. When poverty is stigmatized, individuals may internalize feelings of shame and low self-worth. This can create psychological barriers that prevent them from seeking assistance or pursuing opportunities to improve their situation. Limited social mobility. The stigma attached to poverty can limit social mobility. Those who are seen as poor might find it challenging to access social networks, education, or employment opportunities that would enable them to escape poverty. Generational impact. The cultural stigma associated with poverty can be passed down through generations. Children growing up in impoverished households might internalize the notion that their circumstances are a result of their inherent worth, limiting their aspirations and goals. 1. Conclusion. In conclusion, the struggle with poverty in Latin America is a multifaceted issue rooted in historical, economic, social, political, environmental, and cultural factors. Solving this complex problem requires a comprehensive and collaborative approach. Efforts should focus on promoting inclusive education, equitable healthcare, sustainable economic growth, effective governance, and targeted interventions for marginalized communities. By addressing these root causes, we can work towards a brighter future for Latin America, one where poverty is no longer an insurmountable obstacle. Please subscribe to Travel the World. Thank you for watching.